So what are some of those like leadership behaviors you kind of touched on, starting with leaders, but then taking it to the teams? What are you seeing leaders doing or thinking about that really isn't translating maybe well to teams?
I think that a lot of times leaders maybe have different perspectives of how their team is working and outside of like how the team is actually working, if that makes sense. Like I'm, working with somebody right now and they're like, this is what I think the problem is. And when I came in, I'm just like, okay, like that's one of the things that I've observed, but I think that we can go about tackling it in a way that might be different than you would think. And so it's trying to get them to shift their mindset. And when I like share the findings of my interviews, I'm never like, oh, it was this person who said this thing. I'm just like, these are the things that kept coming up. And so, wanting to have that conversation with them. I mean, like, I will say that, like, from like a helping perspective, there is a lot of conversation right now about burnout. And I think that agency leaders do understand that burnout is a thing and they want to prevent it, but they feel like they might not necessarily have the toolkit to do it, or they might be feeling burnt out themselves. And so I also include a touch base with them to understand, like, well, how are the ways that you are working? How are that impacting your team? Because it's like, I want them to feel supported too. Like, are you pitching or selling in a way that's like setting your team up for success? So I usually like will review that process with them or their sales team. And so it's kind of like breaking down that wall, but then like also being able to empower my leaders that I'm working with and their teams to keep having that conversation once I leave. And so like establishing that has been beneficial too.
That's really powerful because that is the like make it sticky. Like how do you get this to really be sticky? It has to be simple and they have to feel those early wins, right? To really engage with it and want to stay with it.